we'll be reading John chapter 6, but we're going to read John chapter 6 in 3 sessions because it's just simply too long. So I'll be reading John chapter 6 verses 1 to 21 today. And I read, "After these things, Jesus went over to the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. Then a great multitude followed him because they saw his signs which he performed on those who were diseased. And Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. Now the Passover, a feast of the Jews, was near. Then Jesus lifted up his eyes, and seeing a great multitude coming toward him, he said to Philip, 'Where shall we buy bread that these may eat?' But this he said to test him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii worth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may have a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, 'There's a lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish. But what are they among so many?' Then Jesus said, 'Make the people sit down.' Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down, in number about 5,000. And Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to the disciples, and the disciples to those sitting down, and likewise of the fish, as much as they wanted. So when they were filled, he said to his disciples, 'Gather up the fragments that remain, so that nothing is lost.' Therefore they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with the fragments of 5 barley loaves which were left over by those who had eaten. Then those men, when they had seen the sign that Jesus did, said, 'This is truly the prophet who is to come into the world.' Therefore, when Jesus perceived that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, he departed again to the mountain by himself alone. Now, when evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into the boat, and went over the sea toward Capernaum. And it was already dark, and Jesus had not come to them. Then the sea arose because a great wind was blowing. So when they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea and drawing near the boat, and they were afraid. But he said to them, 'It is I, do not be afraid.' Then they willingly received him into the boat, and immediately the boat was at the land where they were going." May God bless the reading of his word. So you know what? I want to ask a few questions about John chapter 6 verses 1 to 21. So I've just been wondering, have you ever just pictured what happened between the time that Jesus gave thanks for the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and the time that it was distributed? Like, I've just been thinking, were the people looking at him when he was doing that, or did he do it in secret and then give it to the disciples to share to the people? Have you ever wondered what was on the mind of the disciples and even the people? Like, there was no food, and then suddenly there are baskets of bread and fish. So I have like one more question. Would you have eaten it if you were sitting there when Jesus did this miracle? Would you have eaten out of the fish and the bread, or would you be afraid, wondering what kind of magic has happened? Anyway, just on a lighter note, I like to ask questions like this when I read, because I'm like, wow, that's rather weird, a miracle. Anyway, so see you in the next reading of John chapter 6. Bye.